Hello, travelers. You know what it's time for? Theme park travel tips. Yay! It is good to be back. Hello. Hi, how are you? It's good to be here. It's good to be back in my own house. There's been a lot that has happened this past week. Just a little tidbit into my personal life. After I filmed the previous video, it was about 2 hours later that I got a phone call that my grandfather was not doing well and that we needed to basically come now to say goodbye. And we did make it there, thankfully. And we got to say goodbye to him, and then he passed away a week ago last Sunday. So yeah, if you don't know, I video the videos I film like a week in advance. So that way if something happens, like what happened last week, I had something to post. So while you guys were watching my trip announcement video, I was actually in Florida, not for a fun reason, but it was good to be around family. So there's a lot to unpack. I'm still dealing with some stuff, the mourning process, but I can tell you one thing: the magic that vacation planning brings me and the joy that brings me is really a good little outlet for me. So being able to come here and talk with you guys about, how to make your trip super magical, or if you want me to actually plan a vacation for you to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Universal, there's a lot going on and I am here for you guys. But hey, as a little thing, you guys doing okay? You all right out there? It's been a crazy couple of months in 2025. Seems like something's always happening, always changing. And I mean, change is a wonderful thing. And, seasons of life are a wonderful thing. But I just want to make sure everybody out there is okay. I'm here for you in a vacation sense, but even if you just need somebody to talk to, I'm still here for you too. So don't go feeling like you can't be heard, because you can always come here, and I'd love to build this little community up for support too. But woo, all of that emotional stuff aside, hi, how are you? Well, back to everything. My name is b.nycum. I'm an MVP travel agent, a certified Disney adult, Universal theme park enthusiast. I'm a wife and a mom, and I am here for you. I'm here to give you the most up-to-date recent information about what is going on in all of the theme parks, so that way you can make the best choices as far as what your vacation is going to look like. And I am, of course, happy to help you if you are looking for someone to either just totally take over and plan your vacation, or if you want someone to partner with. I'm here to fulfill both of those needs. Sorry about my cat, who is consistently grooming himself in all of my videos. Like, my guy. Really? His name is Nigma from, Edward Nigma. Yeah, me and my husband are just pretty much nerds all around. But anyways, so little PSA, another one. So Universal, guess what? Universal Studios in Orlando. It has come out now that you can buy a one-day ticket to Epic Universe, not linked to anything else. So in my previous video, whenever we were talking about Universal and what Epic is like going to be changing as far as in the future, you could only buy a Universal ticket, or you can only buy an Epic Universe ticket if you bought like a Universal package. Like, you had to buy a 2-day park to park ticket and then have one day a Universal, and you don't have to do that anymore. You can literally just buy one day to Epic Universe. You can buy 2 days to Epic Universe. You can buy 3 days to Epic Universe. You can pretty much do whatever you want. So you really don't have to go in and like be specific on just getting a whole package. I know that there were several people that reached out to me in regards to like wanting to add a day at Epic in addition to their Disney that they've already planned, which is totally fine. We can definitely do that. Just know that like there's no way to bundle Epic Universe into your Disney vacation package. So whatever your Disney vacation package looks like, that can't be changed because they're two totally separate things. So your Epic Universe is going to have to be paid in full at the time of purchase, and then you do have to pick which date. The price ranges anywhere between $139 for an adult for the day, $134 for a child for the day, and really the only time I'm seeing those prices is like in off season, like September and like late August. Most of the time the prices are going to be more in the $179 to almost $200 area, so just be prepared with that. I am sorry if I'm sniffling, but the pollen here in South Carolina has hit and it is messing with me. I can finally like see again, but like, man, when I got home from Florida, I thought I was gonna die. Like, it was so strong. I feel like there's just been a yellow haze, but thank God it rained yesterday. So, and it's kind of cooler today, so the plants aren't like just getting back to pollinating, but you know, man, South Carolina weather has been all over the place. Well, all of that said, that was a whole 6-minute introduction into what I've come to talk to you about today, which is Disneyland tickets. So before I did a video on Disney World tickets, and Disney World and Disneyland are very different. Not only is Disneyland not in Florida, it's in California, but it's so different as far as like the way that the tickets are done in most cases. So first of all, let's just talk about, you know, your basic Disneyland ticket. So you have just your normal go to the park, 1 park per day ticket, just like Disney World does. You also have the park hopper option. Well, to me, when you're at Disney World, park hopping is challenging because you have to take transportation, literally, like you have to ride something to the other theme parks because they are not close together. In Disneyland, literally Disneyland the park and then Disney's California Adventure are within walking distance. Like, it's, man, it's really hard to describe, but it's literally like, you know, like here's Disneyland and here's California Adventure. Like you just walk up and you pick whichever one you want to go to. And then like Disneyland does have resorts too, but you don't really have to stay at Disney resorts because there's so many good neighbor hotels nearby that are, again, walking distance, like literal walking distance. And I'm not talking about like, I mean, it's hard to describe because especially when you're like someone like me who goes to Disney World all the time, the thought of being able to like walk to your, you know, to Disney World from, or like Magic Kingdom from a resort is like crazy to think about. But you can do it at Disneyland. So typically for Disneyland, I recommend park hoppers because you can literally walk across. It really doesn't take time. So park hopping is a huge advantage. And park hopping adds about like $90 per day to the ticket, or per person to the ticket. It's not per day, per person to the ticket, depending on how many days you go, because it does have the same thing that Disney World does. The longer that you go, the less you pay per day. And there's no like crazy like sports options and stuff like that because Disneyland is a lot simpler in that case. Disneyland is often referred to as Walt's Park because that, you know, that was the one that he built, that was the one that he was in, the one that he walked, the one that he strived to perfect. And it's just more slow paced. It's more homey. Disney World is a destination, like a legit world destination, where Disneyland is more, you're gonna see more locals at Disneyland than you are gonna see like straight up tourists, if you follow me on that. But yeah, Disneyland, it just has the basic ticket and then the park hopper option. Now, there are a couple of add-ons that you can do when you're buying your Disneyland tickets that you cannot do in Disney World, which is you can actually prepay for the multi-pass, for like, you know, your lightning lanes and things like that. You cannot do that at Disney World. That has to be bought separate later, closer to your actual like vacation, which again, there will be another video where I'll explain how all of that works. But you can actually buy your multi-pass for Disneyland and DCA when you're actually like purchasing in advance. You can also prepay for your parking. Now, a lot of people, if you're coming from like where I am, like in South Carolina, you would typically fly there. Excuse me, sorry if you hear some cooing of my I always film these when my daughter is napping, so there might be a little a little background noise if she starts to wake up. But all right, where was I? Yeah, tickets. Adding on parking. Yes, flying. So a lot of people, if you're not close, you fly, and then like you would get like a taxi or something to your resort or an Uber, and then you would just walk. So you really don't have to worry about parking if you're doing that option, but you do have the option to go ahead and prepay for all of your parking with your initial thing, so it's not like something that sneaks up on you later. Now, you might say, well, whoa, you mean Disney World has parking prices? Of course they do. Yes, they do. But most of the time, whenever you're going to Disney World, you're doing a vacation package where you're buying a resort that is a Disney resort, and then you're just going to take their complimentary transportation. Whenever you stay at a Disney World resort, your parking at the resort is free. It's complimentary because you're already there with everything. And it's not all that way at well, because the Disney World or Disneyland parks have like so many good neighbor hotels and not as many like Disney owned hotels, the parking can be different. It can be tricky. So, and that's really where having someone like me can really come in hand, because I mean, you kind of got to look at the hotels, what hotel is going to be right for you as far as like how far you can walk to the hotel, or do you actually need to rent a vehicle, or are you just going to Uber, or what that's going to look like for you. Disneyland can be a little bit more complicated in that manner, but I mean, it's really not as complicated as like trying to plan a Disney World vacation. Disney World is definitely a little bit more in depth than that. So really, as far as like Disneyland tickets, it's just, yeah, I mean, it's just simpler to buy just a ticket, because you just have the basic one park per day or the park hopper, and then, you know, you can add on your multi-pass or you can add on your parking. If you're literally just going to do just the tickets, it's not as complex as Disney World tickets. And there's not a whole bunch of like cost differences where some just don't even make sense. Like there's no water parks there. There's only the 2 parks. It's just simpler. It's a little bit more of a slow-paced Disney vacation because there's just not as much tourism. The lines aren't typically as long. Some of the older rides you can also find there. So like I know like the Pinocchio ride is still there. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride is still there for I would say like the old school Disney people. So Disneyland is just a little bit more just laid back, where Disney World is like everybody makes it feel like it's just go, go, go. And a lot of times it is. It doesn't have to be that way, but it can definitely feel that way. So yeah, I mean, Disneyland tickets, really not that hard, really not that complicated when you're comparing it. But if you need help, if you want assistance whenever you are planning your Disneyland trip, I'm happy to help you. There are some discounts going on right now because Disneyland is celebrating its 70th birthday, which is pretty amazing. And there are going to be some really cool things happening during the 70th celebration. It's not going to be like the Disney World or Magic Kingdom's 50th, where it goes on for like over a year. It's only going to be for a few months. I think it's like May to September, and I'm going to have to double check on that. Don't take that as verbatim. I will leave in the description the exact date. So if I'm wrong, the exact dates are down there. But it's not going to be like a super long event. It's just going to be for a few months. But again, it's more of a homey park, so you don't need all of that stuff. Let me know in the comments what you want me to talk about. I believe that next week I'm really going to go over, since we're talking about Disneyland this week, I'm really going to go into detail next week about the differences between Disney World and Disneyland, because a lot of people think that the Disneyland and Magic Kingdom theme park are the same, and even though there are some rides that overlap, the experiences are totally different. So we're really going to break down what that looks like. But hey, until next week, bye.